the And then let me get the agenda up. Also, Steve, I have to tell you, I upgraded my Zoom today or excuse me, earlier this week. And for some reason, like my co-hosting has disappeared. So when we switch back and forth, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to go host to host back and forth, a little bit of extra movement.
No problem.
Okay. So agenda is up. Welcome, welcome, everybody. We are so thrilled to see you today. Can everybody see the agenda? We good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent. So Steve and I are super excited to be bringing together ACCCTEP and CCC-TPP for our first quarterly joint meeting. So welcome everybody, and we are very thrilled that you are here. Steve, anything that you want to say before we get into the agenda? Because I know we've got a robust one today.
Yeah, should we do a quick round robin for people just to do a quick names, introductions, and just the college that you're at? That would be great for me to see who's in the room. So so we just start. Maybe I'll pick somebody and then we'll go round robin. I'll start with Cheryl Johnson.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cheryl Johnson. I'm from Fresno City College, and I am their full-time education instructor and run their education program.
Pick somebody, Cheryl.
Oh, Rosemary.
Hi, I'm Rosemary Wren, and I'm at Cuesta College as the education lead and work in distance ed. And I also teach in teacher ed at Cal Poly and Cal Poly SLO. And I guess I will pop it over to Megan.
Hi, everyone. Megan Kaplinski. I'm on the ACCCTEP board as secretary, and I am teacher prep coordinator at Long Beach City College. Popcorn, Kate.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kate Williams-Brown. I'm the department lead for Skyline College's Education and Child Development Program, and glad to be here and looking forward to this agenda item too. And I'll pop it over to Marianne.
Hi, everybody. I'm Marianne Smith. I'm from Citrus College. I'm the director of the Institute for Completion and Grants Oversight, which includes TPP, although I did spend 11 years in teacher prep at Chapman University. I'm zooming in from rural Vermont, and internet is a scarce resource here, so I'm clear for the moment, but I never know. But pleasure to be here. How about Jennifer Paris?
Hi, sorry I'm a little late. I'm actually trying to sign up for my vaccine at this exact moment. We just became available to sign up at noon, so I'm like double dipping. So Jennifer Paris, I work at College of the Canyons. I am ECE department chair. Kind of new to all of this. I'm tagging along on Gina's coattails. She's been kind of doing that role formerly, but the funding's kind of changing. And so I'm trying to kind of get up to speed and support everything to the best that I can. And I have no idea who's already introduced themselves. So I'm going to let somebody else volunteer to go next.
I'll volunteer to go. Oh, I'm Kim Sakamoto Steidel, and I'm adjunct faculty for Cabrillo College ECE and Education Department. I'm also the part-time coordinator for the Teacher Pathway Program between Cabrillo and CSUMB, and also a student support coordinator for CSUMB. So lots of hats there. Great to see everyone. I'm also ACCCTEP vice president, and I'm going to go ahead and send this over to Kathleen.
Thanks, Kim. Kathleen White, retired faculty from City College of San Francisco, still working on National Science Foundation grant through the end of the year, and also trying to, I coordinated the teacher preparation regional joint venture for our region, which just ended, and I'm in the process of introducing a new one on apprenticeship. So hopefully we'll be able to continue our group. I was on the board of ACCCTEP, and have been a long time TPP, like decades, TPP person. So glad to be here. Send it to Victoria, have you gone?
Hi, hello, my name is Victoria Rio and I am the education faculty at College of the Sequoias in Visalia. And I am just joining you to learn and to see what I can do to help contribute and bring back to the students in my own program. So, hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Victoria.
I was gonna say, how about Gina? Sorry.
I'm Regina Lamarelle. I'm the department chair at Santiago Canyon College. I just ran in from outside to see about the trees pruning. So anyway, but this is my first meeting. I'm eager to learn, and we're just getting ready to combine both our education and our child development departments, so it's a smoother pathway for students. So that's just why I'm here.
I'll jump in. Hi, everybody. I'm Colleen McKinley. I'm the Director of Educational Partnerships and Programs at Cerritos College. I see Kate's hands. It's been a long time. I'm also the I was formerly on the ACCCTEP board as well. Happy to pass the treasurer torch to Megan, who I will call on to introduce herself next.
Thanks, Colleen. My name is Megan Bennett. I am education faculty at Clovis Community College, which is in the Fresno area. I am on the ACCCTEP board as well, and the current treasurer. So it's nice to meet you and see some familiar faces and meet some new ones as well. And I will pass it on to a fellow ACCCTEP board member, Kim B. Nope, maybe she stepped away. How about our other ACCCTEP board member? I don't know if she's gone yet because I came in a minute late. Cheryl Johnson.
Hi, yes, I did. Forgot to mention that I was ACCCTEP also. Just to open it up to anyone who hasn't introduced themselves yet.
Hi, my name, video on. Hi, my name.
You're muted.
I'm on my phone. Sorry about that. I'm having a hard time with seeing what's happening. My name is Melise Warner, and I am the Director of Early Childhood Education at the Santa Rosa Junior College. And I'm here and eager to learn more and hoping also to connect the faculty and our child care program with apprenticeship in the future.
I'll go. I'm Catherine Miller. I'm a CDES adjunct faculty at Gavilan College, and I'm here to learn more too, to bring back to my students, see what I can help them with the TPP.
Hello, my name is Veronica Allen. I'm from LA Mission College in the LACCD, Southern California. I am faculty in the Child and Family Studies Department, and I teach for both education and child development. And, you know, I'm really happy to be here to get informed and bring that information into our district and campus. So thank you for having me.
Hi, everybody. I'm Alice Hale from Chabot College in Hayward, California. I'm the coordinator of the Early Childhood Development Program, full-time faculty, and I also am the lead on our teacher prep program.
Did we get everyone?
There's one or two other people that have joined that haven't spoken up yet, but it could be they're double tasking. I'm not sure. Gina Peterson, would you like to say hi? I see that you're on.
Good morning, everybody. Gina Peterson from College of the Canyons, and I think Jennifer Paris I saw here as well. So I represent the TPP, and Jennifer represents the department, but I'll let you speak on I'll let her speak on her behalf. I don't know if she did already.
You did just for a minute, Gina, so that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Excellent. And then I think Bess is on also.
Hey everybody, my name is Thesa Ropi. I'm here from Allen Hancock College. I'm a department chair of applied behavioral sciences. I also coordinate our early childhood studies and education programs. And I'm just here to continue the process of learning to understand how TPP can help our students.
And Doug, have you introduced yet?
No, hey, I'm Doug Huey. I'm from Mount San Antonio College, which is in Southern California. I teach full-time in the child development and education department, and I kind of straddle both worlds between early childhood and the education courses. And it's really exciting to be here and hearing from people from all over California and even Vermont. I was surprised to see. So in contrast to our earlier meeting today, which was quite regional, I'm excited to hear what's going on in the rest of California. So thank you so much for having me here.
Hope you muted yourself, Renee.
Thank you. Kim Barker's on right now, and she's on the second meeting that I don't know if she's able to unmute. So I just want to make sure that we acknowledge Kim Barker's here from Antelope Valley College. And Kim is a recipient of a federal teacher prep grant. And so they're kicking off and scaling their program in Antelope Valley right now and doing some fantastic work. So Kim is here, even though we can't hear her right now. Is there anybody else who hasn't had a chance to introduce? We want to make sure that everybody has had a moment. Okay, before I hand it over, I think I should probably introduce myself. I didn't realize how many new people are on here. It's so exciting and thrilling. My name is Renee Marshall, and I am not at a college, but I was for a long time. I was at College of the Canyons starting in 2004, and I exited College of the Canyons in 2018, 14 years later, or 2008 into 2018, to start my own consulting company, Renee Marshall Education. I have been supporting a variety of our teacher prep community college programs throughout the state for quite a few years now, and I loved what I did at Canyons. When I was at College of the Canyons, I had the opportunity to be adjunct faculty, full-time faculty in education and early childhood education. I served as department chair of early childhood education. I also was the director of teacher preparation at Canyons for over a decade. And I love College of the Canyons. It's a great school, and it gave me you know, like for us ECE people, it's like the roots and wings. You know, it gave me what I needed to continue in the field. And so thrilled to be here today and to be bringing all of our groups together to be most effective for teacher preparation. Steve, did you want to do a little bit of an intro on you at all?
Oh yeah, real briefly. Hi everyone, Steve Batista, Santa Ana College. I am counseling faculty and full-time program coordinator for our Center for Teacher Education. Year 20 for me doing this work, and you know, part of this journey for a long time, and current president of ACCCCTEP. Great to see everyone.
Excellent. Well, we are so thrilled. We've been talking about this concept of bringing TPP and ACCCCTEP together for a while for a formalized meeting. And so in 2021, our goal is to run a quarterly meeting with the two groups coming together. And TPP has taken our traditional monthly meeting and it's merging into this quarterly meeting. So we are thrilled that everybody's here. We've got a lot of exciting information to share with you. And I think today's meeting is going to be a little bit more of like a dissemination of information with different bits and pieces. I look forward to, as we move forward in this format together, finessing this process and like making it a way that it can be collaborative. So Steve and I appreciate your patience this first time as we're rolling it out, because we're just trying to be as effective as possible. But at the same time, we want to get better moving forward. So we are absolutely open to any suggestions and whatnot. And so I'll make sure I put my email in the chat. Steve, if you could also put yours in there as well. So that way, if anybody who's on here would like to reach us at any time, we are here for you. With that, we'd like to go to our first item on the agenda today, which is an early childhood education/education resolution. And both Kathleen White and Kate Brown will tell us about that.
Thanks. Can I screen share, please?
Absolutely. Now, Kath, it's going to take a minute because for some reason, when I updated my Zoom this week, it's not allowing me to co-host people.
Okay.
So just give me a sec.
No worries. I'll start. So Kate and I are on. I'm going to start off by telling you what we're cooking up and share something with you that I drafted and Kate edited. And then Kate is here as an expert who is on her academic senate president, I think, right, Kate? She brought forward a resolution late last year for early childhood, and she's going to tell you about it. Not only the resolution, but I think the process was more important for us. So many of us know what the resolution said. I have it, I can pull it up, you can just look at it. But Kate is also, with her statewide role, has her finger on the pulse of the process and why this is important. So I'm going to let her talk about that a little bit more, but am I able to share yet, Renee?
Well, and if you want, before you share, I'll do a quick one.
Yes.
As many of you know, because you're in a variety of community colleges, you know that each college is a member of the academic senate for the California community colleges, and as that that agency has really strong connections to the chancellor's office. Talks regularly with legislators and other higher ed agencies and California state organizations. So as such, the state has two plenaries, one in the fall and one in the spring. And part of the work that they do is to develop resolutions that guide both the state academic senate and advise all those other agencies I was describing. So what we did last fall, a number of us early childhood education departments, is we put together a resolution calling on the state academic senate, the governor, and other agencies to support early childhood education and child development programs, not only the academic programs itself to keep the teacher prep pipeline open, but also to look at supporting all the various lab schools. We did that, we took it through, we got support. In fact, it wasn't even debated. Everyone agreed to it. And so the academic senate is very positive towards our early childhood education and child development programs. Having said that, we should get broader than early childhood alone. And that's where Kathleen comes in. And we've worked together for many years on a lot of projects. And this one just seemed like the next logical good idea. So Kathleen, you want to take it from here?
Sure. Thank you, Kate.
Sure.
And I think what I'll do is I'll show you kind of what's cooking. And then if there are either specific questions for Kate, especially in terms of what it means to take this resolution to your own academic senate at your college, then it goes regional, and then it goes statewide. So if you have some questions, we've got one or two folks on this call who may be leading the next resolution at their own academic senates. I know that College of the Canyons has agreed to explore, so has Ventura, and so has West Hills Lemoore. So all those folks represent either, and they're elected to their own academic senates, they have a function there. It's always easier, I think, to have an elected faculty bring a resolution forward. So, you know, it goes local, then it goes regional, then it goes to the state. I do not anticipate with this next resolution any opposition, quite honestly. But as Kate said, the academic senate has the ear of the chancellor and the ear of the chancellor's office. So it's just another way to bring our sector forward. So what I have pulled up right now is the resolution that Kate introduced. It went all the way through, and I think it just has to do with, as she said, the mentor program, COVID adaptations, asking for support for the early childhood field. And you can ask her specific questions in a bit. What I'd like to pull up now is what I drafted, and I'll tell you why I just woke up and did this. And Kate has already edited it for me. Thank you, Kate. I had a conversation with Myra Cruz, who is our career technical ed lead at the Academic Senate statewide. She happens to be in our region. She's in the Bay Area, Foothill, I believe, Foothill or De Anza, Foothill. And she—
Foothill De Anza, she's in
Foothill
the
De Anza, yeah. And we were talking about training. So we were totally not talking about this, but her subject area of expertise is early childhood ed. So of course, we kind of drifted off the subject. And I floated this in front of her. She believes it's the right time. And so she is going to bring this forward in the best way that she can and advise. I've already sent her a copy. And what it basically asks is that it acknowledges, excuse me, got homeschool, Zoom school here. So we've got a little noise in the background. We're acknowledging that the governor's master plan for early care and education, California for all kids, will significantly change pipelines and pathways, especially in regards to transitional kindergarten. It in some ways marries even more intentionally the teacher prep pipelines for multiple subject credentials in early childhood with this expansion. So we've mentioned this. That's a whereas. Our next whereas is the education and human development sector has, we served 146,000 students at our California community colleges in 2018-19. We rank 5th in enrollment of the priority sectors, meaning that 4 sectors below us have sector directors, TAPs, and statewide support, and they serve way fewer children. So just calling that out. We also have very favorable data in the CalPAS metrics, and we have the highest percentage of female students. 67% of our students are non-white, and 78% identify as economically disadvantaged. And highest percentage of female students in all 10 priority sectors. Whereas COVID has destabilized our sector, both K-12, TK, ECE, all teachers everywhere have been destabilized, blah, blah, blah. And we're linking it to parent workforce destabilization, especially women. So if I were to say anything about this resolution, it's a woman's bill. It talks about a highly female workforce. It talks about women being disproportionately impacted by COVID and by supervising children who don't have places to go. And we're not getting the support that some other sectors are. And then the last whereas is based on the pandemic. We knew beforehand we had many openings. We know it's going to be worse. As soon as the schools start rolling out and childcare starts reopening and classrooms start reopening, we will see who's not coming back. So there's data there. We're resolving that the Academic Senate supports the community colleges in prioritizing education and human development sector with a sector director, with a TAP, with the structure of other priority sectors and the support. We're asking that the Academic Senate also provide some support that they provide to other centers, web hosting, more training, et cetera. And we're also asking that the Academic Senate support kind of a collaborative approach to working with the governor's office and CDE around the rollout of this plan. So there's a few resolves here, several whereases, and Myra and I mean, it just led into this. We think this is the time. We have a community college teacher in the White House. She's in the White House. And we think that we need to look at all teachers as a continuum, the preparation, the student access to career choices, and we need support. So that's the resolution. And then Kate, maybe you could talk a little bit about the process, because the resolution's here. We've got some folks interested in maybe carrying it forward.
So the way we build this out, everybody, I mean, for those of you, you know that you have an academic senate that looks at all academic and professional matters, primarily locally at your college, and that's its job. And some of you are on the Senate and some of you know people who are on the Senate. Typically each Senate, each local Senate has executive officers and then senators from each of the divisions of your college. And so what happens is that if there are any that in the region, otherwise known as area, as Kathleen spoke of, each area, each Senate sends somebody to an area meeting where their primary job, which happens a few weeks before that spring or fall plenary, is to look at all the resolutions that have been written and introduced across the state. That's beginning to get people knowing about them, asking questions about them, trying to make amendments to them, so that by the time they get to the plenary, that same process happens at the state level, but that it has bubbled up from local into area into state. Then the state plenary has to look at each day, looks at the resolutions, often has more that people bring to the state plenary. And by the time you get to the third of the 3-day plenary, it's time to debate the ones that people have asked to be polled and debated, and to approve through consent on the agenda, those resolutions that everybody agrees on. Okay, so last fall, when we put the early childhood one together, that's what I did. I, as the local Senate president, brought to our area this resolution. All 4 of the areas looked at it. There were questions. I revised it because of that area input and brought it to the state Senate and plenary. And when I got to the plenary, was prepared as the author of the resolution to debate it. And they have a pro and a con mic, and it's democracy in action. And it wasn't pulled from the consent agenda because everyone thought it was the right thing to do. So what Kathleen is describing is that may very well happen with this resolution as well. And at the same time, as a supporter of democracy and participatory governance, it's really helpful if the local senates, and you talked about 3 of them already, are bringing these to their local Senate to say, we're going to area, we're going to plenary. We just wanted you to know, Ventura College, that we think this is important. Anybody can do it. This resolution could come to any local Senate where you, as the education, TPP, child development, ECE faculty, say, this is coming to the state Senate, and we in our college want you to support it. And that's helpful because the broader the support, the more informed people are. And if it needs to be debated, it's a robust debate. And if it doesn't need to be debated, it's because people understand it and agree to it.
And if I can add, Kate, that since the last ECE resolution was led by Kate, came out of the North, I think that strategically, some of the folks that have shown interest in carrying it forward, and nothing prevents lots of colleges from carrying it forward. In fact, it'll make it less controversial if we have more than one. But it would be great to have our central region represented. We've had resolutions come from the South. We've had resolutions come from the North. I think also the regional lead is out of Reedley College in the Central Valley. So I think there's some kind of logical, serendipity there. But really nothing would prevent more than one college or several colleges from bringing this forward. It really reduces the controversy, although I don't think it's controversial. It's very helpful that Myra Cruz, who's the CTE lead at the Academic Senate, is supportive and is helpful.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Steve. I have a couple of questions. Thank you so much for explaining the process to us and for the work that you've done on the ECE resolution. I'm so glad that's moving forward. And I'm also really happy to see that we've already drafted one. There's already one drafted to be more inclusive of TK through 12 teacher preparation as well. I'm wondering, is there ways though to make that a little bit more explicit in the document, the draft of the new resolution? Because it starts off with the governor's master plan for early learning and care, which I think centrally focuses on early learning. But there are other documents that have been produced that also speak to the need for K through 12 teachers in our state. I'll paste one here from the Policy Institute, the Learning Policy Institute, that talks about the shortage that's going to be created from the COVID-19 situation for quality and diversity of teachers. So I'm wondering if we could make it a bit more explicit in the first whereas to include that type of the parallel between early childhood and K through 12. So that's very embedded in both the whole document moving forward. That would be my
Let me tell you strategically why I started with the governor's master plan.
Yeah.
So our primary supporter right now is Myra Cruz, who is from early childhood, number one. And number two, she's CTE. And you know, there's a lot of discussion, controversy, disagreement about whether a straight EDU K-12 pathway is technically CTE. So, and I think that's been a source of discussion at the state chancellor's office. Where it sits, is it, you know, is it a CTE pathway based on top code? So I think starting off with kind of a CTE lens, early childhood sits in CTE, early childhood now includes TK. I think it gives ownership to the career technical side of the house. And if you look, Steve, whatever language you send, I can embed still into, I think the third paragraph is where it sits, because I'm trying to draw a parallel between K-12 as well as after school and other pathways. So third or fourth, sorry, might be the fourth paragraph. I was a little worried leading off too strongly with K-12 because we're asking for sector support and it's like a TAP, a director, sector support that would come out of the CTE area.
Okay, I understand the political aspect of it all, but I also would want to make sure that it's pretty clear as we move through the document that that's what we're asking for support for, so that it doesn't get, you know,
lost.
so you said it doesn't get lost, right? So I mean, I get how we would lead this off, and if you wouldn't mind sharing that with me, I'd be happy to contribute any language that I can to it.
Yeah, Steve, I would look at that fourth whereas. By the way, we are restricted because I'll tell you, I had 7 whereases. And when I was working with Myra, she said, you're required to have you cannot have more than 4. So just so you know, we can't have 2 pages of whereases. But I think this piece about the LPI that you talked about, I think that could be strengthened in 4. I thought about maybe adding the piece about how the Commission for Teacher Credentialing is revising the early childhood permit to be more in alignment with the TPEs and TPAs that credentialed teachers for TK-12 go under, but I thought it got too much in the weeds, so I didn't put it in.
Steve, I'll send this to you and you can add, I would not add another whereas, but where it fits, add, if you have data specifically, yes, please add it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you know where I stand on supporting exactly what you said, as well as early childhood teachers. We're just trying to, the state chancellor's office isn't divided the way our career sectors need it to be divided.
But we see this as the next step to bridging that, Steve.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sort of in a way, getting more community college sector support, which will be the ECE support because we're in career tech, but then starting to bridge that out. Because we all, as you and I have had this conversation before, we don't see that line, and we're trying to bridge that chasm. Yeah.
So are there any questions?
You have a couple notes in the chat of people just making comments.
I have a question. This is Veronica, LA Mission College. I know this resolution in the draft has been mentioned, that it's in progress. It's still being revised a little bit, but when can we obtain a copy so that we have something that's, you know, a tangible document that we can begin to have conversations with our academic senate, maybe, you know, noticing it on our academic senate meeting agenda so that we can announce it, so that it starts to sound like something that faculty or, you know, the senate has heard before the spring plenary. You know, do we know when that spring plenary is? Is there a date set so we can put it on our calendar? I attended the fall plenary, and if I know in advance, I can, for my college or area, you know, at least be there to listen and participate and report back.
Awesome.
Great.
Here's what we could do. Kathleen, if you can get Steve's language and then send it out to everybody here.
Yeah.
All they really need to do, you don't need, if you do exactly what Veronica was saying, where you go to your local senate and say, I'd like this to be on the, you know, either a discussion or just an info item, so that your senate, when they go to their area, is familiar with it and says, let's go for that. What I can tell you is that the area meetings are generally the last week of March. I know for our area where I live, it's Friday, the 26th of March, because the state plenary is Thursday through Saturday, April 15th through 17th. So your local Senate president and or your district Senate, because I'm just moving from local Senate into our district Senate. And we attend the 3 days and the resolutions are debated or not on Saturday morning.
And Myra has indicated that it's due March 26th, and I believe that's for the regional.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So we're okay in terms of timeline. You know, I'm just starting to roll this out. Kate and I just edited. I just ran it by Myra. People are, so what I'll do, I'll promise to get this out at least to this group.
I'll be just like you guys. I'm going to take this to my local Senate. And I'm going to ask, since we have a 3 college district, I'm going to ask the other 2 locals to do the same, and I'll be there for questions, but it's the familiarity that helps.
Put your email in the chat, please. If you'd like this emailed directly to you, or else it'll go out to TPP and ACCCTEP. Steve, once you make your changes, you will be able to send it out to, you know, whoever. And what was I going to say? I think that the advice from Veronica to at least give your own academic senates a heads up would be helpful. We're okay with time. I think we have at least 2 to 3 weeks to get the word out.
Yeah. March this forward in March, and then it'll go to the April plenary.
Okay.
Excellent. Well, one of the things that I want to make sure people know is I don't have everybody's email who's on right now, since this is like a new group. And so please make sure if you're not on the regular TPP email listserv to include your email in the chat, and then I'll make sure I pull that out. I also took a quick screenshot of everybody who's on right now, so that way I can just kind of do a cross check and make sure I have the right emails. So that's great. Thank you. Thank you for your leadership here, Kathleen and Kate. It is greatly appreciated. As somebody who was EDU and ECE faculty at the same time, I can tell you it's a weird place to be sometimes. Sometimes your ECE people make you feel like you're not ECE enough. And then your EDU people are like, what do you mean you're ECE? And it's like, we should be celebrated. Those of us who've had the opportunity to be in both fields, it should be an asset. It shouldn't be a negative thing. So really appreciate this. Now, Rachel Johnson would normally come in to share a little bit about our ECE-COP and something that's going on with our Big Four. But since she's not able to be here today, Kathleen White is going to talk a little bit about a new kind of subgroup that has formed in early childhood in terms of advocacy in our community college system that we want to make sure is on everybody's radar. And we want to make sure that you know if you'd like to be included, we want to make sure we get you included. So Kathleen, I will hand it to you.
Sure. There's definitely a subgroup, and it's the constituents within the group are Peach, Tri-CECE, teacher preparation programs, OER, ZTC, and we meet basically to look at areas of common interest and common need. So some of the activities that have been undertaken in 2021 by, I would say led by this group, but most certainly the participants have been faculty from all over California, including CSUs, privates, and some UCs, so not just community college. But we've attended the ECPC meetings, the Policy Council, Governor's Policy Council out of on the master plan and et cetera. We've attended the ECPC Workforce Committee meeting. And for those two groups, I think part of the message, the reason why we've made sure to attend is that higher ed is present. Higher ed has an extremely critical role in preparing the workforce. Higher ed is in the governor's master plan, not always explicitly, but most certainly when you look at the goals, we prepare the workforce, and we're here to support and play a role as this project rolls out. We also led a higher ed forum where faculty from all over discussed the role of higher ed in the master plan and some strategies for I guess lifting that role and providing more guidance to the master plan. We met with Deborah Stipek, who's with the Stanford Graduate School of Education and was one of the authors of the master plan, to kind of hear her, not just opinions, but to hear her beliefs that were reflected in the master plan around higher ed. And we have advocacy plans really throughout 2021 to solidify the importance of higher ed in this plan and be clear that we're not only doing much to further the workforce, but that we have observations that based on our role as faculty that we have student contact and observations that are very critical about the workforce on behalf of the workforce, and that there are things that we acknowledge we can do better, differently, more creatively, and we're open to being partners. So, Rachel works quite a bit. There's, as I said, a kind of a core team, but Rachel and Tony Isaacs have worked together quite intensively to synthesize and summarize many of our points, and I would say have really important, critical roles in helping us to narrow down our focus and really look at what goals we have. So I think that's what I had. I can answer questions or. Did I put everyone to sleep? Okay.
Nope, you're good. Thank you. Thanks. I'm trying to check the chat too. So yeah, we're co-hosting on the fly as well. So thank you, Kathy. Appreciate that information. The next item is just a very quick information item. You may or may not have received an email from Lennon, and his last name is, let me get it really quickly, Audrain from Arizona State University. If not, you might have received an email from ACCTEP asking for your input or your support to add to a national database for community college teacher education programs. And so if you did or did not, the link is in the agenda, and the national database is really a project of Lennon, who is a product of the community college system teacher preparation programs. He was the president of Educators Rising, which is the national high school future teachers group. He was a teacher. He's a Harvard graduate with his master's and now a doctoral student at Arizona State University in ed policy. And he is really trying to put together an arduous task of trying to gather information on community college teacher education programs across the United States. He started the database by scrubbing everybody's websites, by going through and just looking and searching and pulling information. But he would like to ask other colleges to take a look. And if your program is there or not there or needs to be corrected, there is a form on his website to add to the database. I did have some follow-up conversation with him about his purpose for the database, because I know some questions did come up. At this point, it's really to be just a place for information to sit and for people to be able to search and see what programs are available, whether they're program leaders, students, and even the national organization, NACTEP, the National Association for Community College Teacher Education Programs, as well. He is the sole person, he's maintaining it by himself, and he's also indicated that he may use this information for his research later on down the road. He doesn't intend at this point to monetize the data set in any way. But he is looking to possibly see how the data set could be used in further iterations to help support our programs, because he's a real true believer in teacher prep programs. So I just wanted to put that out there and let people know and ask if you have any questions about that. I'm happy to answer.
Has he already been directed to the teacher prep site that we have, that Bobby has put in data from all the different teacher prep programs across our system?
Not yet. No, probably not. Maybe we can put him in connected with Bobby, and maybe they could just do some type of, I don't know, merge or because he'd have to either.
Yeah, I don't know how she created it, but yeah.
Okay, that's a good one. All right, thank you. And then can someone drop the link? I don't have it linked on my agenda. I don't have the agenda up, so can somebody link? Thank you, Megan. Okay, and then next item, Megan, you want to share a little bit continue on about NACTEP?
Yeah, so NACTEP has been hosting some coffee chats, and one of the recent coffee chats was where this database was shared. And, Renee has written a recent article that was featured in a NACTEP newsletter, and we've had some of their information shared with us more recently, and we wanted you to know. I think it didn't go in the chat. Let me see if I can cut and paste. NACTEP is the National Association of Community College Teacher Education Programs, and ACCTEP is working on an official affiliation, but you can think of ACCTEP as the statewide professional org for community college teacher ed. And so NACTEP is the national level. And NACTEP not only has, monthly coffee chats. For us, it's 7:30 in the morning, but it's a nice early start. And they're going to plan their March one around folks' spring break. So they don't have a March date set yet, because they're waiting to kind of collect information and see if they're doing it March, April, or a hybrid. But they're doing those coffee chats and sharing wonderful information about programs, highlighting various organizations. And so Shannon and I got to share about the Education Fieldwork Community of Practice, and our Canvas Commons updated a coffee chat. So NACTEP is going to be hosting a virtual conference series. You may remember that NACTEP was recently affiliated with AACCTE, but that has changed. So now they're going back to hosting their own conferences instead of a pre-con or something in collaboration. with AACTE. And so their conference coming up in April is actually a speaker series. And I have the information about their info I'll put in the chat, and I'll try later to get my document to load. But it's free for members. And if you're not already a member, they wanted to share with you that you can register and become a member, and then the cost is the same, and students and stuff can go. So if you have scholarships for students and wanted to send them. The speakers are pretty awesome. They have a few different topics, and they're spreading it out from 9:30 to 11 Arizona time in Fridays in April. So just wanted to keep you aware, and I'll try to get that document to load properly in the chat because it says I have to retry it. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Megan. Yeah, I just want to spend a few minutes now. Does anyone have any questions for Megan or on the database now that you've had dropped the link? It's pretty basic, and there's a form when you open the database, a link to a form that's an Excel spreadsheet that you, or it's a Google Doc that you copy and paste and send in. So the coffee chats are really quick. They're really useful just in terms of time, and you get to meet people from Maryland and all across the United States. So it's a pretty interesting and fun group to be a part of. So yesterday, our board, the ACTEP board, had our meeting for kind of our February meeting, planning our agenda for the year and kind of looking forward at things. And I just want to kind of bring people up to speed on kind of where we're at. We still have in our mindset to try to create a statewide regional caucus of community colleges across California, and to find representation in each of the different regions in California, because we are so big. And as we are represented here, we're a very small piece of the bigger part of teacher preparation programs in California. And so we're really trying to gather individuals from all the different regions in California to at least identify colleges in regions A through whatever the last letter is in the academic senate, regional distribution of colleges, so that we can disseminate information. Not that that person has to be responsible for calling meetings or any of those kinds of things in those regions, but at least connecting back into ACTEP and be a voice coming into ACTEP and going back out from ACTEP into the field. And so I'll drop into the link into the chat a link to our website that has this information in it, and the regions and how they're broken up, and the person he would contact. And so we are definitely wanting to still put that into place and to create that stronger communication across all of our programs. And so it's not haphazard, and it's not difficult, but it's actually, creates more synergy. The other thing I wanted to share with you is that we are planning a series of regional professional developments. Again, I don't have them to give you the dates yet because we just talked about this yesterday. But our plan is to develop one for each month during moving forward for the rest of the spring semester that really hit on the key aspects of running a teacher preparation programs. Whether it's funding the program, whether it's the curriculum and pathways, whether it's the counseling and advising, and then building partnership, a pathway 2+2+2+1 type of partnerships. And so we have so much expertise in this space right here. I would love your participation in those workshops so that we can bring it broader across to all of our campuses who may be looking to need to support in these very specific areas. And so the idea that these sessions would be very interactive, I would bring in together program leads to kind of give some specific models, and then open it up for a lot of discussion about the nuts and bolts of running a teacher preparation program in our community colleges at this point in time, and just really kind of helping each other in that regard and providing that important technical support. And then, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just a quick question. That series sounds like fantastic. Is there any way that we can continually post it so that way new people who are coming in, we can go, here's some onboarding, you know what I mean? So we can instantly have a place where it's stored. Maybe we can put it on the main TPP site and have it linked also, just that'd be awesome.
Yes, that's exactly kind of the idea, is we really want to scale and the goal would be is to track people into our sessions to identify who, where these programs are, because they get grants at certain points of time and they get started up at certain points of time, and they need the technical assistance and how to bring them in to kind of really, get the support that we all know we need when we're running these programs. And that's, the next goal. My goal as president is to try to scale membership as much as we can, to try to bring as many members into ACTEP as possible, so that we can have a true large representation of voices and place where people can really get help and support. And we talked about some strategies that will help incentivize and maybe remove some of the monetary barriers that are associated with becoming a part of our organization. So we will be rolling those out in the next week or two. We're trying to do maybe a March Madness blitz of membership. And then Megan, do you want to talk a little bit about some of our communication strategies moving forward?
Sure. So we basically are, ramping up some ideas to do some social media so that we can be networking and getting the word out even more clearly and broadly. So we are working to set up a LinkedIn and a Facebook, Instagram, because those two are connected, so that we can share information out, even bite-sized pieces of our quarterly newsletter. So our goal is to showcase a lot of different programs and what's going on statewide. So we welcome people to share with us, and you can contact me or anyone in the communications committee, which is on the ACTEP website, if you have an idea of something that should be showcased, whether it's a student or program or event at your campus, because we know that there's so much good stuff happening everywhere, and we would love to make sure others can access that. Kind of along the lines of what Renee was talking about, getting everyone access. So we're definitely moving forward with that. We hope that some of you have seen our most recent newsletter and will join us when we launch our social media.
Thanks. Great. So thank you. And then the next item is really building into our meeting on March the 2nd. So ACTEP has a general meeting on March the 2nd that's open to all to come and discuss, and it's in conjunction with CCTE, which is the Council on Teacher Education. It's part of their policy conference that's happening next week as well. And so my meeting, the topic of that meeting that I've presented and put out there to invite individuals to come talk about are really policy issues related to things that are coming down the pipeline for teacher preparation and its impact on lower division K-12 teacher preparation. Those things include the CSU Ethnic Studies policy, the potential change to CBEST and CSET preparation or alternatives to those examinations. And so I really want to do that in the space where we have our CSU partners and our UC partners and maybe the independent college partners in the same room, and have a discussion about how we might be able to bridge all of these things so that community colleges aren't left out when these policies are approved and then put into place, and then we are an afterthought of, oh yeah, we got to fit this into how does it work for students who want to begin a community college. To try to avoid that and have discussions now. I know the CSU Ethnic Studies one is really important. I know there's individuals in this room that are already beginning that work to work on courses that potentially could meet that requirement, and how that would also feed into teacher preparation. So I saw Rosemary here. She's like, oh, Rosemary, you're still in the room. I'm not sure if your work is still continuing in that area with Cal Poly.
Yeah, well, we have gotten our ethnic studies course for educators approved through Cuesta, and it's now in the process of seeing if it will get accepted from this through the CSUs. And if it doesn't, I'm not sure what else we could do, because I built the whole thing literally around their 5 core competencies. So yeah, we'll see. We're actually hiring right now, or we're getting started to hire for that position, because we do not currently have any ethnic studies faculty. And something that has been really informative to our development of that has been participating in the community college ethnic studies summits that have been going on. That's been integral to our understanding of what we need to offer our students. So yeah, I'm happy to share out more of that at some point.
Yeah, that's great. That's amazing work. And that's like, I mean, again, we want to try to build off of the work that you've already done. You've already laid the foundation versus, all 116 of us having to work on this, independently to really use a collective voice of the work that, people are doing to be, and if you've already worked through the core competencies, I think that's probably, and then again, trying to get it approved through CSU, all those things. So we want to have those discussions. We want to move those things forward, particularly like when we're talking about implementing CBEST waivers and they're talking about English courses and math courses. We want to make sure that we're identifying that we already have courses in our systems and pathways and GE patterns that students already follow, and we don't need to create new ones and those kinds of things. So that's the gist of that conversation. I'd love for people to join us there for a more robust conversation there. And then something that's really important for me is trying to manifest by speaking out loud in many different spaces, the idea of a education undergraduate pathway. Doesn't have to be a major, but it could be something that could begin in community college and connect to a university, like a minor, in something that really is articulated across CSUs and it works for maybe early childhood, but most definitely elementary, secondary, and special education, so that we could begin teacher preparation when students want to become a teacher when they enter college and not wait until they are entering a credential program or doing prerequisites for a credential program. How do we capture those students at the very beginning and create robust scaffolded pathways that build on teacher development from the very point of when they decide they want to become teacher when they enter college? So cool. Rosemary's already talking about a minor. That's great. Yes, there we go. Yeah. How do we get that across 23 CSUs? That would be my interest, Rosemary. So that's the kind of stuff I would really want to continue to try to push forward from out of ACTEP and in other places where we can continue to have these conversations with CCTE and our CSU partners. So that's kind of a preview of the work there. I'd love to have some discussion there now if you want to bring some other topics forward, but that's kind of the idea. And I would hope people can make it on March the 2nd at 4 p.m. I will put the Zoom link into the chat and then open it up for questions and turn it back over to Renee.
Any questions or any discussion?
Rosemary, really quick question on is your minor articulated with Questa?
No, well, that would be asking a lot right now, huh? No, it's something that Cal Poly's been working on for a few years actually. And I am still learning about it because I'm far more the observer on that campus than I am on Questa. But the good news is the idea behind it is to perhaps get people who might be majoring in something else at Cal Poly to try it out, try out teaching a bit. And we are continuing to work with articulating with a 4-year partner. We've been, we've had some interesting experience with that as well. An illustration of what happens when the people who are actually teaching and running the program aren't involved in the conversation. And so yeah, it's been interesting, but it's all a learning experience and it's very helpful. But yeah, it's kind of interesting jockeying between the two college systems and the different kinds of things that I've observed. But I know, for example, Cal Poly has a grant right now to try to increase their recruits of Latinx students to get their credentials, and the undergraduate program is there's also some opportunities there. So there's a lot going on. I guess that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So I mean, it's great. And there's the universities, many of the UCs have created education bachelor's degrees, right? The UC at Riverside, I think Santa Cruz, I think LA have, and so I mean, there's all these, programs popping up, but they do very little to help community college students because they are very unique to the universities. And again, don't help us build those pathways, CTE articulated pathways that can help us get funded and help us grow our programs and help us build our capacity as well. So I think my goal is to try to see how we can, you know, use all of these great ideas, but do it systemically so that it serves all of our program, all of the students, and not just the ones that are going to Cal Poly, right, or university. So, okay, thank you.
I love that. I love this discussion here. And as somebody, I went to UC Santa Cruz and they didn't have it as an option when I was there. So I created my own bachelor's degree program where I took a psychology degree and did all these other like projects to make it a developmental psych degree so I could be a legitimate teacher. And so how wonderful to see that that's happening and that, you know, people will have clear pathways and won't have to, you know, struggle the way a lot of people have struggled. One thing I want to bring up, this is on the agenda later, but since we're talking about this idea right now of, you know, cross systems and really making sure we're all on the same page, I do just want to make sure on everybody's radar, I want everybody to just be know that this fall in August, we're going to roll another Bringing Education Systems Together conference. And so we are going to be working on these type of topics. And Steve, you know, as you know, TPP is crafting that conference because it's coming from one of the campuses. That's where it's originating. But I think it'd be great if we could work together, ACTEP and TPP, in terms of like making sure that we have the exact strands and, you know, the topics and things that are needed across the state. And maybe we do some sort of breakouts or focus groups. I mean, we could even utilize that conference space in a different way than we did last time. So I just want to invite that collaboration because I think, you know, we held the conference back in 2019 for the first time and it was incredibly well received. I think to do it in a virtual space now, I think it will really be limitless in terms of what we can do. So let's plan to work on that for sure. Any other comments or questions about the pathways or just the progress that's being made? Any clarification needed? Okay, next we have basically just a little bit of announcements and then we'll open it up and see if anybody wants to have any conversation. If not, I can't even believe this. We might be early, which never happens, especially for this kind of meeting. I think Steve and I wanted to keep it tight just to make sure, you know what I mean? So anyways, want to alert everybody to a couple things that are happening. First off, beginning next week, CCC-AOE kicks off, California Community College Association of Occupation Education. We've got quite a few of the TPP groups will be presenting at that conference. And on the end of your agenda, I put all the different breakouts that any of the TPPs are involved in. So there's one coming from Antelope Valley next Thursday. And it's starting, how do you set up a brand new TPP program? And then we've got one coming up on the 16th, which is a sub-project that came out of the LA region on EDU curriculum alignment. On the 17th, we also have Creating Community During a Pandemic, which is basically the TPP COPs, the EDU and early childhood communities of practice are going to talk about how we were able to pivot in the virtual space and create something that's been really useful in terms of creating community in throughout the state. And then we also have Kathleen White and Leah Martinez are going to be presenting on March 18th, talking about the Northern and Southern California conferences that were held in the virtual space and how these were examples of different ways of looking at student engagement and student retention and student recruitment. And so should be a really good presentation there. I also want to point out, and Steve mentioned this, I want to say again, CCTE is happening next week on the 4th and the 5th. If you're not already registered, Steve, do you know if registration's locked at this point or can people still join?
People can still join, yeah. And it just is a context to those surveys that went out in the summer. I can't remember, it all feels like one long day since March 2020, we've all been sitting here. Whenever those surveys went out about teacher candidates and their perceptions about diversity and using technology in the classroom, all that kind of stuff. Those results of those surveys will be the gist of the discussions that are going to be happening related to policy and those kinds of things. So yes, it's still open.
Excellent. So if you haven't signed up yet, please consider that. I do want to point out also next Friday out of Cerritos College, they're holding a 2-hour session on Generation Z from 10 to 12 next Friday on the 5th. And I want to point this one out in particular because if you have not had an opportunity to either do research or attend a presentation or two on Gen Z, please check it out. I will tell you, I went to one couple years ago, maybe 2 years ago, and it was like I went to the presentation and instantly my communication style with a certain part of my staff changed after the presentation. I was given all sorts of strategies and it was incredibly effective. And I just, if you haven't looked into this, please look into it. And that was sent today with this agenda. It was sent as an attachment, that flyer. If anybody needs it, just put it in the chat and I can shoot it to you after. I also want to point out, and Steve, I'm sorry about this. It looks like the link didn't somehow attached on the agenda. I apologize. But SCC's Tomorrow Teachers, do you want to talk about that, Steve, for a moment? Then maybe we can put the chat in the link or the link in the chat so that way everybody can grab it.
Yeah, it's the annual conference for high school and community college students who are aspiring K-12 teachers is at SCC, and it's virtual this year. So it's normally on the ground on her campus on a Friday, but she's made it virtual and it's free. And so, yeah, so it's if you need some opportunities for your students to get virtual fieldwork hours or through workshops or seminars, it's going to be a good conference, and the registration is available on their website.
Excellent. And Steve, you said that's free, correct?
Yes, that's free. Yes, correct.
Perfect. I think that's one of the most exciting things right now is how much is free for our students and for everybody. It's a good time to get some training. I also want to point out JSPAC, Joint Special Populations. So anybody who's looking at different populations that need like additional support system in place, JSPAC has a lot of strategies and a lot of just really good resources. They have some different dates rolling out of some professional development that may be of interest to some who are on the line today. I do want to call your attention to JSPAC's also doing something called couch discussions with different groups of students in our system, both our system and then K-12. And so tomorrow they are having a couch discussion of all African American male community college students. And so if that may be something that interests you, please check out JSPAC because those start tomorrow and they have some other things coming up. I do also just want to make sure everybody has on their radar in May this year, in 2 months, we're going to be rolling out the Teach for Los Angeles conference. Things are not solid on dates yet. The moment it's solid, we will share it with everybody. But the Teach for Los Angeles conference will be 100% free. It will be primarily for students, though some teacher prep leads may find benefit in some of the sessions that are happening. But we will send that out and share with everybody, and it will, whoever wants to can be involved. We'll also be looking for presenters for Teach for LA. Primarily, we have Los Angeles region that tends to fill that. But if anybody is interested in possibly presenting at a conference in May, let me know because we would love to have you. And then lastly here, Bringing Education Systems Together is going to be a statewide conference that will be supported through one of our newer TPP campuses in the team. And that will be rolling out in August of 2021. And the idea with that is to have a variety of professional development and breakout sessions that are going to be relevant for faculty who are in the field right now, but also for administration and leaders within teacher preparation. So that Bringing Education Systems Together is not a student conference, but it is a really good one for all of us. Excuse me. And with that, I will go ahead and hand it back to Steve, see if he has anything else he would like to say. And if not, we can open up for questions and discussion. Nothing? Oh, I got a head shake.
That's it. I'm good. Yes. Hi, Yadira.
Hi, I was just going to say thank you so much, Renee. Sorry, I was taking supplies up from my son's school. Thank you so much, Renee, for mentioning the couch discussions. And I'm going to say it again. And I just want to gather as much students as I possibly can. I am doing the Latina X female couch discussion. So if you guys have any students that you feel might be interested, please send them my way or share my email with them, and I will connect them with my students. We have a couple of students from Rio Hondo College and El Camino College, but it would be great if we can get more students represented.
I want to second that. If anybody, Rosemary, I was actually going to message you independently to see if you have any students possibly that could be working with Yadira, because her panel needs some additional student voice, and we want to make sure that we're representing a couple people, a couple places across the state.
Yeah, Yadira, give me a call or email or something, and because I've got some awesome students.
Yes, I will definitely reach out to you today. I have a couple of students, but the more the better, because at the end maybe some students something comes up and they don't have time, which is fine too. But if we have more students than not, then I'm pretty sure it'll be a great discussion.
JSPAC later in spring, I believe it's end of April, is also hosting a couch deliberation that is all high school students. And kind of the topic there is reimagining education. And so anyways, JSPAC has some really fascinating things that are going to be coming out soon. So check them out. Yadira, you look so glamorous in your car right now. When you had your glasses, I was like, how does she look that glamorous right now?
You know what, Renee, I'm going to share a picture that I sent Bobby, and you're going to, I'm sorry, I was at the dentist, and I was trying to hurry up to get out to make it to the meeting in time, but, you know, they took longer than usual, and then I had Omar's materials to pick up, so it's been one of those days, but I'm so happy I made it to at least the last part of it.
Well, glad you're here, Yadira, and glad everybody has been able to show up here today. And Steve and I will meet before we have our next quarterly meeting to make sure we're using the time, you know, as most effectively as possible. If anyone who's on has any suggestions or anything we can do to be better, the goal is we're just trying to bring it, you know, bring everybody together and make this cohesive, make teacher preparation as cohesive as we possibly can, because it will make it easier for our students.
Rosemary, do you have something else to say?
I do, and this is very belated notice, but Cuesta College currently has a full-time position open for early childhood / education. And there's, I mean, we need it in both areas, but in particular early childhood. So if you're interested, it closes on the 3rd, I'm sorry. So if you're interested, let me know and I can send you the link.
I was gonna say, I am Rosemary, but Cuesta College is where located again?
San Luis Obispo, Central Coast.
Gorgeous. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, send me the information. It never hurts. I will apply.
Okay.
I have a quick announcement. I put in the chat a link to an apprenticeship seminar, and I think I mentioned earlier that in our regional joint venture proposal in the Bay Area, I've entered one for apprenticeships in ECE and EDU. So there is a conference coming up in April. I put in the link, sponsored by ESEPS, and it will look at expanding apprenticeships in California. So take a look if you're interested at all, or if this is something that you think your departments are interested in. The conference is free, so links in the chat.
I have got my agenda open live, so I can't link it into the chat right now, or I don't think I can. Could somebody else take the agenda and link it in the chat, please, for Victoria? If not, Victoria, just give me your email and I'll shoot it to you as soon as the meeting's done. Okay, great. Any other comments or announcements? Anything else that we want to share? Okay, well, with that, I think we have successfully completed our first joint meeting. So yay, we've been talking about this for years. Thank you everybody for being here today. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, everybody, stay healthy, and we look forward to seeing everyone soon. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Steve and Renee.
Bet.